Winter on the frontier didn't care how brave you were. It cared how efficiently you trapped warmth. Most people never learn what that actually meant, because most people never had to. Out there, winter didn't test courage. It tested efficiency. How much heat you could hold on to, how little you could afford to waste. Frontier families learned this the hard way. They discovered that bigger fires didn't save you, better shelters didn't save you, only habits did. So, think about this before we go any further. If every extra room in your house leaked warmth, would you try to heat it all? Or would you shrink your world to survive? Watch closely. By the end of this story, you'll know the exact habit that decided who endured winter and who didn't, and why mastering it meant living long enough to see spring. The problem: homes that couldn't hold. Heat frontier homes were built from necessity, not comfort, and certainly not with winter luxury in mind. Families built with whatever the land offered, often learning too late that shelter alone did not equal warmth. In wooded regions, log cabins were the most common solution. Logs were stacked by hand, not milled, and sealed with whatever could fill the gaps. Mud, clay, straw, moss, even scraps of cloth were pressed between the logs to block the wind. It helped, but it was never perfect. Cold air always found a way in. At night, you could feel it creeping along the floor, slipping through seams, settling around ankles and wrists like something alive. On the open prairie, where trees were rare, settlers turned to sod houses. Thick blocks of grass and soil were cut directly from the earth and stacked into walls. These homes insulated surprisingly well, but they came with their own problems. Moisture seeped in constantly. Walls wept after rain. In winter, dampness turned into biting cold that settled into bones. Insects lived in the walls. Dirt fell from ceilings. Comfort was a luxury no one expected. Others dug homes directly into hillsides. Dugouts stayed warmer because the earth shielded them from wind, but they were dark, cramped, and often wet. Smoke lingered. Light barely reached the back corners. Yet people lived there because they had to. No matter the structure, one truth became brutally clear. A house alone could not keep you warm. Walls stopped wind, but they did not hold heat. And without heat, winter turned every night into a test of survival. The habit that changed everything. Trapping. Warmth, not chasing. Early, settlers learned through suffering that more fire did not automatically mean more warmth. They could burn through half their fuel in a single night and still wake up shivering. Heat rushed up chimneys, leaked through cracks, and disappeared into empty rooms no one was using. The house felt big during summer. In winter, that size became the enemy. The breakthrough came quietly, passed from family to family, not written down, but remembered. Stop trying to heat everything. Shrink your world. In winter, entire homes were abandoned, except for one room. Kitchens became living rooms, bedrooms, workspaces, and sick rooms all at once. Doors were sealed with heavy quilts, nailed shut, or hung with layered blankets. Windows were covered with cloth or animal skins. Walls were lined with anything that trapped air. Old coats, wool blankets, fur hides. Beds were pulled as close to the stove as possible. Some families built wooden frames or hung fabric around beds, creating a tent inside the cabin. At night, children slept packed together like kindling. Body heat mattered. Every breath mattered. Inside those small spaces, warmth lingered. The fire no longer had to fight the entire house. It worked smarter, not harder. Heat stayed trapped. Fuel lasted longer. Mornings were survivable. This habit alone meant the difference between enduring winter and being broken by it. It conserved fuel. It conserved strength. And for many families, it conserved life itself. Fuel became more valuable than gold. Heat depended entirely on fuel, and fuel was never guaranteed. In forested areas, summer was spent cutting firewood, not resting. Trees were felled months before winter so the wood could dry. Green wood smoked too much and burned poorly. Stacks were carefully arranged to keep rain off and air flowing. Families counted cords the way others counted money. On the plains, there was no wood to cut. Instead, settlers collected buffalo chips, dried animal dung that burned hotter and cleaner than it sounded. Children gathered them by the sack. When buffalo disappeared, settlers burned whatever would catch: twisted grass, hay, corn stalks, fence posts, sunflower stems, even furniture when desperation set in. Nothing was wasted. Every piece of fuel represented hours of warmth. Every mistake was punished by the cold. Families learned exactly how much they could burn per day and still survive until spring. Too much early meant freezing later. Too little meant suffering now. Fuel dictated behavior. Fires were banked carefully at night. Ashes were saved. Embers were protected. Letting a fire die completely could mean hours of struggle to restart it, and in extreme cold, that delay could be fatal. Winter punished those who miscalculated. It rewarded those who planned relentlessly. Clothing became a second shelter. Outside the house, clothing was survival itself. It wasn't fashion. It wasn't comfort. It was insulation against death. Wool became essential because it stayed warm even when wet. Cotton was dangerous. It held moisture and pulled heat away from the body. Settlers learned this lesson the hard way. Fur robes served multiple purposes. They were coats by day and bedding by night. Moccasins lined with wool or fur kept feet warmer than stiff leather boots, which restricted circulation. Layers were adjusted constantly. Too much meant sweat. Sweat meant it cold. Clothes were dried near the fire each night. Smoke soaked into everything: hair, skin, fabric. It was a smell that never left. It followed frontier families through winter, a permanent reminder that fire was never far away. Children were wrapped until movement was limited. Freedom of motion was sacrificed for warmth. Stillness was safer. Stillness conserved heat. Clothing didn't just protect bodies. It extended how long people could work, travel, and survive outdoors. Without it, winter would have ended lives quickly. Food and animals were part of the same system. Food was not something prepared during winter. It was prepared in anticipation of it. Root cellars were dug deep into the ground where temperatures stayed stable. Potatoes, carrots, turnips, and apples were stored carefully. Meat was smoked, salted, or dried. Fat was preserved because fat meant calories, and calories meant heat. Nothing was wasted. Scraps fed animals. Bones became broth. Every calorie counted. Animals were not kept at a distance. They were survival assets. Barns were insulated with straw and banked with snow. Livestock body heat warmed structures. In some cases, animals were kept directly beneath living spaces. Their warmth rose through floors and walls. If animals survived winter, families survived too. Losing livestock wasn't just financial loss, it was a threat to life. The lesson winter taught them frontier families learned that winter was not an enemy you could defeat. It was a force you had to understand. Those who fought it head-on burned out. Those who adapted endured. They shrank their lives. They sealed warmth inside. They prepared months ahead. They respected limits. They learned when to rest, when to burn fuel, and when to endure discomfort to survive longer. They didn't conquer the cold. They learned how to live inside it. And that lesson, paid for in hunger, smoke, and sleepless nights, is why so many of them lived to see spring. Frontier families didn't survive winter by being tougher than the cold. They survived by respecting it. They learned that strength burns out fast, but habits repeat, night after night, fire after fire, choice after choice. Shrinking their world wasn't surrender, it was intelligence. And that single habit decided who lived long enough to see spring. Now I want to hear from you. Which part of frontier winter surprised you the most? Or which habit do you think people today would struggle with the most? Leave it in the comments. And if you want more stories that strip survival down to what actually mattered, subscribe. Because history isn't about nostalgia. It's about the lessons people paid for, one cold night at a time.